The cinema of Black America is emerging as a box office force. Only a few weeks ago, we reviewed Spike Lee's Jungle Fever. Tonight, it's Mario Van Peebles' New Jack City.
Making the streets and life in the streets official, living a hip-hop lifestyle.
Spawned from a hunger for something raw, something fresh, something that could rival Scarface and shake the world, came New Jack City.
You're incapable of running this shit. Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Kareem brought him to my attention.
So you know spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Directed by Mario Van Peebles, New Jack City hit like a cultural bomb. It didn't hold back, it dropped us into the middle of a drug war, showing us the kingpin, the victim, and the reluctant hero. This wasn't just a movie, it was a warning.
Recapping what was going on the street. The inspiration for the movie, it came from the street.
Also up here, you can see my previous New Jack City video where I break down one of the most prolific scenes frame by frame. But today, we're taking a look at the real life history that helped forge this hood classic. Based on an original story by Thomas Lee Wright and a screenplay co-written by Wright and Barry Michael Cooper, New Jack City was created to show the devastating impact of crack cocaine on inner city youths and the entire community as a whole during the mid-80s to early 90s. It told the story of a gangster's rise, fueled by fast money, propped up by a broken system and thriving off the desperation of the helpless. In the heart of Harlem, New York City, we meet Nino Brown, a role that I want to say seemed tailor-made for Wesley Snipes.
So zooted. I walked up on this lady. She must have been a school teacher or something. I didn't even care. I stepped to her. I didn't even stay to see the body drop.
Nino is ruthless, power-hungry, and self-serving. He doesn't let stupid things like friendship or loyalty get in the way of ambition. Backed by the Cash Money Brothers or CMB, Nino seized control of the drug trade once crack hit the streets, thanks to G Money, who introduced the product to Nino in the first place.
Now, business must be pretty good, huh?
It will be, brother. Beat this out.
Now, I call this a hood classic, but many consider it a hip-hop classic because it reflected the music and reality of the time. What rappers were rhyming about was unfolding on screen. Nino Brown wasn't based on any single figure, but he was a combination of all these types of gangsters, rappers, etc.
The world is mine! All mine!
The most notable being Rick Ross, aka Freeway. No, not this guy, the real Rick Ross, who the rapper took his name from. At his peak, he was one of the most prolific drug traffickers in the US, moving hundreds of kilos per week and making up to 3 million a day. A freaking day. His operations were even indirectly tied to the CIA Contra scandal, as he unknowingly bought drugs from suppliers of funding Nicaraguan rebels. Anyways, then there's Alberto Alpo Martinez, one of the flashiest and most feared drug dealers in Harlem and DC. He has ties to Rich Porter and Aziz Fashion, the trio whose story inspired Paid in Full, another movie I'ma do a video on. But Alpo eventually became an informant and entered witness protection. But after re-emerging into the public, he was gunned down in Harlem in 2021.
It was making the streets and life in the streets official, living a hip-hop lifestyle.
In the early 1980s, the US was hit with a tidal wave of cocaine. So much of it poured into Miami that prices dropped by 80%. Dealers needed to make a business move, which they did. Convert the powder into crack, a smokable form that could be sold cheap and fast to millions. It was easy to make, addictive, and highly profitable. So enter Nino Brown. Like many real-life gangsters, he saw an opportunity in the chaos and rose through the underground ranks.
This bulletin just in a scene to rival the famed St. Valentine's Day massacre of the 1920 Chicago, Don Armateo, reputed crime lord, and 10 of his henchmen were gunned down.
Great scene and a true show of power, but much like everything else in this movie, it draws from real-world events. As the epidemic exploded in the 1980s, Black and Latino drug dealers began to rise in many areas. They pushed out the traditional Italian mafia from parts of the street-level drug trade and took over. In cities like New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Chicago, and DC, the Italian mafia had long controlled organized crime, namely gambling, ladies of the night, and loan sharking. The new substance was cheap though, addictive, and easy to produce. This allowed smaller independent groups to enter the market without needing to go through traditional supply chains. These new groups, often Black and Latino, were younger, more aggressive, and had strong ties to the communities that they were operating in, so made it a no-brainer. With mafia bosses getting arrested in major RICO cases throughout the 80s and early 90s, it left that gap in power, and honestly, they lost a lot of respect too. So it wasn't long before, hey, this stuff was dominating every major city, and those lives within those inner cities were hit harder than any other.
This crack shit, man, it's got me, man. I don't got no control over it, man. I try to kick, man. That shit just be calling me, man. Be calling me, man. I just gotta go to it.
We see this destruction played out through the eyes of Pookie, played by Chris Rock, a tragic figure, comedic yet heartbreaking. We laugh at Pookie's antics, we flinch at his violence, we root for his redemption, and we mourn for his fall. Arguably one of Chris Rock's most powerful performances, if not the most powerful performance. Between 1984 and 1989, the homicide rate for Black males ages 14 to 17 more than doubled in cities hit by crack. Even 17 years later, those rates remained at a 70% high. The drug impact went beyond murder. It led to more low birth weight babies, more weapons charges, and a sharp rise in kids entering foster care. New Jack City did not shy away from the ugly truth, not one bit. Murder in broad daylight being a big one. Ruthless executions in this scene, luxurious, violent scenes that look cool on the big screen, but rooted in the chaos of reality.
Yeah! Now that's how you kill somebody, my brother. You get right up on the motherfucker and bam! Throw his brains all over the sidewalk in broad daylight.
Rock the block, baby.
So let's go back to 1979. The violence was already escalating. In a bold daylight ambush, Colombian traffickers stormed a liquor store with automatic weapons, taking out 2 men, a sign of what was to come. Because in New York now, that turned into a straight up battlefield, open gunfights, bloody turf wars for all to see, broad daylight. Washington, D.C., dubbed the murder capital. Drug-related killings a daily occurrence.
New Jack is like an amateur.
Like a rookie.
Somebody just getting in the game.
That's a rookie just now getting ready to come to the NBA.
Now, the term New Jack was a slang for a newcomer, someone new to the game, but had some talent. But New Jack City gave it a new meaning. It was symbolizing a new era of crime, style, and music. And speaking of music, the soundtrack.
New Jack City was a music-based film. It's almost a musical. You know, it goes from one musical segment to the next musical segment.
The soundtrack was the movie and music.
A perfect storm of genres. We're talking jazz, R&B, hip-hop, and the emerging genre New Jack Swing. A fusion of rap and soulful rhythm that defined the late 80s and early 90s Black culture. The record was released on March 5th, 1991, just a few days before the film itself, but the New Jack City soundtrack went platinum. 11 original tracks featuring the biggest R&B and hip-hop artists of the era. New Jack City was way more than entertainment. It was a gritty portrait of a dark chapter in American history. It captured the rise and fall of a lifestyle that destroyed communities in pursuit of fast money. It showed the price of power, the cost of betrayal, and the blood left behind when ambition goes unchecked. A cautionary tale that still resonates today. And that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, you'll love the next one coming up. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and share this out.